back to the Daily Grind. Thanks for checking out the channel. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back pickle biting bitch boy, cause you know what time it is. It's full time.
MMA.
Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, or should I say Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, is coming out and explaining why he won't fight Darren Till. You know, this video is probably gonna get a little fucking edgy. I guess. I'm not a guy that disrespects fighters, anything like that. But I will say, man, it's time to call a spade, and I always say this. I don't think any fighters are scared of other fighters, but to me, when a fighter gives you 5 different reasons he doesn't want to fight one of these up and coming fighters, I understand you. You're not scared, but you are ducking, and it is what it is. I mean, you see the current welterweight champion Tyron Woodley. Anytime, and these guys are all welterweights, by the way. Anytime Tyron Woodley says, no, I want a legacy fight, I want to become a household name, I don't want to fight Wonderboy again, I don't want to fight Damian Maia, I don't want to fight another boring matchup. People say, oh, why are you running? Tyron. Well, now Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is pulling a fucking Tyron Woodley and, you know, giving us, no, I don't, you know, Darren Till doesn't deserve the fight with me. You know, my hands were injured. You know, it doesn't make sense for us. We want to fight Robbie. We want to fight up. All of that shit is falling by the wayside because with Robbie Lawler losing to RDA, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson was moved up to the #1 spot. And man, I hate to do this because I'm a Wonderboy fan, but I gotta nitpick here, bro. He's talking about the reasons that Darren Till doesn't deserve a fight with him, and I'm not hearing it. Now, I could be wrong. Of course, I could be wrong. So if I'm wrong, fucking forgive me. And if not, I don't care. Hit thumbs down. Get the fuck on. But let me go into this because, you know, I didn't want to have to do this, but my boy Darren Till's coming out and he's fucking wants this fight so bad. He every fucking week he's calling out Wonderboy or somebody else, but really Wonderboy is the fight that makes the most sense for Darren Till, and it's not because he's just trying to, you know, fight an older fighter out of their prime or that he feels he can beat. No, he wants to prove he's the best striker in the division. And now this is where I got a fucking nitpick because my boy Wonderboy, who I am a fan of, I feel like Wonderboy is like the he's like Anderson Silva without the dance moves. You know, he's a more whenever people used to watch Anderson Silva, some people loved him, some people hated him. But the people that hated him thought he used to showboat, and you know, you don't need to do that. That's why they wanted to see him get fucked up. Wonderboy, there's nothing to hate about Wonderboy because he's got that, you know, counter-striking style. It can be exciting if somebody comes in, you know, it's like that self-defense style, but it can be boring at times, but he also doesn't do the showboating and dancing, so people don't hate Wonderboy. But with that being said, since he wants to take the time to, you know, say Darren Till doesn't deserve it, I got a fucking nitpick. I've did this one time before in my fucking YouTube career, which has only been going for about 6 months strong. But with that being said, man, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, he's talking about Darren Till is ranked #7 right now in the division. That's not too low, actually. But he's saying Darren Till needs to prove himself, essentially. Darren Till needs to fight the killers, prove himself. I don't get it, bro. He proved himself versus Donald Cowboy Cerrone, but I guess that wasn't enough for for Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, or should I say Wonderboy. I'm about to have to make it official on this video, the fucking Wonderboy. I've seen Tyron way too much for people to be giving Wonderboy these passes, bro, and I can still be a fan and call him Wonderboy. It is what it is. He's running from Darren Till as far as I'm concerned, and not because he's scared, but just because I don't know what the fucking reason is. I guess because he doesn't feel like he's ready or because of his hands. He's got an excuse. I'm just saying it's not because he's scared. But you can take whichever excuse Wonderboy is thrown out and run with it if you're a Wonderboy stan. But what I'm saying is let's fucking nitpick for a second since we wanna be petty. I mean, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, you know, I was like, okay, since he wants to say Darren Till doesn't deserve an opportunity, let's go back and look at Wonderboy's UFC record and see when he got his opportunities. So before Wonderboy got his title fight versus Tyron Woodley, he fought Rory McDonald. I said, so let's see what rank Rory McDonald was when he fought Wonderboy. He was ranked #1. So I was like, okay, well then I have no argument there. Stephen Thompson was ranked #2 and fought the #1 contender, and that's when he got his title shot. So I was like, okay, so maybe that's where he's coming from. But I just had to go back one fight more, just one fight. When he was ranked #2 and fought Rory McDonald, you know, as I said, I'm nitpicking. For one, Rory McDonald had already had his fucking wars with Robbie Lawler, so people would say Rory McDonald wasn't all there per se in that fight. You know, when you go through a war like that Rory McDonald went through with Robbie Lawler, and you're going against a counter striker, you know, you might fight a little hesitant or whatever the reason is that Rory McDonald went in there and got clipped up and lost to Stephen Thompson. But with that being said, to Stephen Wonderboy's credit, he was #1 ranked contender. Now, Whenever you take away Darren Till's win over Donald Cowboy Cerrone, people say, oh, it's because Donald Cowboy Cerrone is a shell of himself. Oh, that win doesn't mean anything. You got to beat somebody that's not Donald Cowboy Cerrone. Does that argument not apply to Rory McDonald when he fought Stephen Thompson? Would people have not argued he was a shell of himself right after the Robbie Lawler fight? But as I said, that was number 1 versus number 2, so I'm going to leave that one alone. Now, this is the one that got me, and I didn't have to look any farther. This is the reason that I was like, yo, I gotta go with the Wonderboy shit here, because Johnny Hendricks, before Rory McDonald, Stephen Thompson fought Johnny Hendricks, and I had to look at their rankings. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson ranked 8. He fought Johnny Hendricks, ranked 2. This was post USADA, whatever the fuck that means. This was not Johnny Hendricks in his prime, the one that whooped George St. Pierre's ass. No, this is the Johnny Hendricks that we've seen lately. This is the Johnny Hendricks that lost the title post USADA, whatever the fuck you guys want to, make your assumptions there. But would you not say Johnny Hendricks was a shell of himself when he gave Stephen Wonderboy that opportunity? You know what I'm saying? Johnny Hendricks was ranked number 2, shell of himself, and still gave Stephen Wonderboy that opportunity that Stephen Wonderboy now will not give Darren Till. And it gets worse, because Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is not a guy that is on his way to the title, never got a title shot, on his way to shock the world, become champion. No, that's not even the case here. He's already had his crack at the title. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is the number 1 contender, and it doesn't matter if he beats RDA tomorrow and Robbie Lawler next month. He's probably still not getting that title shot versus Tyron Woodley, because the UFC can't just say, hey Tyron, Wonderboy be the number 1 contender, are you ready to fight him again? I mean, you have to fight him again. Tyron Woodley's got some say in that, and Tyron Woodley is not going to take the Wonderboy 3 fight of all of his opportunities. You know why? Because if for whatever reason it goes to decision and Woodley loses, he'll never get that crack at Wonderboy back. It's going to be 1 draw, 1 win for Woodley, 1 win for Wonderboy. And who the fuck's going to want to see Wonderboy Woodley 4? People complain about the first 2 fights. The 3rd fight no one wants to see. But if we did, and for whatever reason Wonderboy came out on top, then he would owe Tyron Woodley 1 back, right? Because then it would still be like a draw. They would both have 1 on each other and then a draw. So then we'd have to see Wonderboy Woodley 4. So what I'm saying is Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is essentially a gatekeeper. As long as Tyron Woodley is the champion, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson's probably not getting another title shot unless he knocks out a couple of dudes. And one of those dudes could be Darren Till. He's got hype. I mean, what's the difference between fighting number 3 and number 7? I mean, a couple of ranks, but it doesn't matter. If number 7 has more hype than the number 3 guy, you're arguably going to get a better chance at the title shot than if you beat the number 3 guy, because a lot of people were ready to see Darren Till fight for the title. They want to see him win the welterweight title and then move up divisions. But the problem is, these guys at the top are not wanting to give these young up-and-coming killers opportunities. Kamaru Usman's having the same problem. He can't get any ranked opponent to fight him. Darren Till's starting to have the problem. And it would be different if Darren Till was calling out Robbie Lawler or RDA. He said, yeah, I would knock all those dudes out, but I want to fight the best of the best. It's different than these dudes that are trying to fight the guys that are shells of themselves, and it's just not the case. Fucking Darren Till wants to prove he's the best in the world, and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and his team are preventing that. And now, as far as all of the excuses, we've heard, oh, Wonderboy's got a hand injury, he won't be ready for London. No, actually, it doesn't make sense for us. We want to fight up. Now with the new rankings, it's like Wonderboy has literally responded to, I'm going to read what Wonderboy had to say, because he actually spoke on Darren Till, which was surprising to me, because usually when these guys don't want to fight, they just avoid talking about him so they don't have to give an excuse. But this is what Wonderboy had to say. And I know Darren Till has called me out, but I remember coming up in this welterweight division, I went through a murderer's row to get where I'm at, and that's really the catalyst to make me want to fucking look up everything I looked up. He said, I went through a murderer's row to get where I'm at. Oh, are you talking about Johnny Hendricks USADA after he lost the belt? Oh, are you talking about Rory McDonald after the Robbie Lawler war? Is that the murderer's row? I mean, I guess I understand. Yeah, that is a murderer's row if you compare it to Darren Till's opponents to date, but that's because he can't fight the Wonderboys or the Robbie Lawlers. If Darren Till fought Robbie Lawler, fucking, let's say, last pay-per-view, then would he get the, you know, the opportunity? But it is what it is, man. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is looking like, as long as it's up to him and his team, Darren Till's not going to get this opportunity. So maybe fucking us fans have something to say about it, but maybe not, because as the UFC says, they can't make these guys fight each other. He can't say, Wonderboy, hey, you're fighting Darren Till no matter what. There's got to be some, but that also works against Wonderboy, because which that is the case, which it is, then why would Tyron Woodley say yes to another fight with Wonderboy Thompson? If Wonderboy Thompson was on a 3-fight winning streak, he just beat fucking Robbie Lawler. Let's say he moved on to beat RDA, and then he beat one more guy, but it was out of Wonderboy, Covington, and somebody else. Tyron Woodley's not taking the Wonderboy fight for the 3rd time after the first 2. So Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, as of right now, is a welterweight champion gatekeeper. He's keeping guys, you know, I just don't understand what's going on here. So with that being said, I'm not going to dive too much deeper into it. As far as I'm concerned, I'm still a fan of Wonderboy, but hey, it is what it is. On the channel, until he fights Darren Till or one of these guys, it's going to be Wonderboy, and not out of disrespect, but just because it has a fucking ring to it. It's pretty funny, and when you consider how everybody was calling Tyron, well, you know, what's wrong with Wonderboy? It's the same fucking difference, right? And you know, one of these guys was a champion, one of these guys had their opportunity. I mean, it is what it is. I've said enough on this video. Fucking Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, it looks like, does not want to fight Darren Till, but Darren Till did have one thing to say before I get out of here. He said, yo, I know all these guys don't want to fight me, but I tell you what, they're gonna have to fight me eventually, and that's a fucking fact. Because if, let's say, Darren Till beats Robbie Lawler tomorrow, is that what you want to happen? You know, Wonderboy's team, oh no, make him get through Robbie Lawler first. You know, if he beats Robbie Lawler, people are going to have the same excuse. Oh, Robbie Lawler's a shell of himself, so, you know, he's got to prove himself. Well, if he beats RDA, they're going to say RDA was too small for Darren Till. People are always going to have an excuse. So until you sign on the dotted line or you have an actual injury, it looks like you're ducking the fade to most fans, man. It is what it is. Let the full-time family know what the fuck you talking about in the comments. I'm out.
Da 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 da. It's the motherfucking DOWG.